Well, good evening. Welcome. I'm Esther Andrea. I'm president of the KPAA. I just want to thank everyone on behalf of the KPAA for being here this evening. We want to thank you. Your presence shows your commitment to our community, to civic engagement, and to the future of our town. So we're also grateful to the candidates for volunteering their time. We thank you for your dedication and willingness to serve our community. If this is your first time at the Welcome Center, then welcome. It is KPA's headquarters, and our mission is to connect and advocate for the business community, acting as a liaison between local businesses, Killington Resort, and of course the town and our regional partners as well. We want to promote collaboration, innovation, and a thriving four-season economy. So this is important to all of us. Just wanted to mention that we recently have launched a monthly newsletter series to highlight dining specials and member restaurants. So if you want to sign up for that, it'll also sign up for our newsletter, and there is a sheet at the front where you came in. So before we jump into the evening, I just wanted to do a little housekeeping. Please make sure your phones are on silent. The exits, there is an exit straight through this door if you do need to leave during the evening, or of course the door that you came in. And our restrooms, of course, are right over there. Also want to thank PEG TV for being here this evening and recording, and of course we're streaming live on Facebook as well, so that this can be watched after. The other thing I wanted to note is that if you are going to vote in person on March 3rd, the polling will now take place at the new town offices at 2046 US Route 4. So the purpose of this forum is to provide voters the opportunity to hear directly from the candidates, to better understand their perspectives and make informed decisions in the upcoming election. So we are proud to host this event. It's part of our ongoing effort to encourage respectful discussion, transparency, and participation in our local government. So with that said, I want to turn it over to Mike Coppinger, our moderator, and he can introduce the candidates.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Beth. Thank you all in the audience for joining us. Folks who are watching on Facebook and folks who are going to be watching on PEG TV at a later date. We do have members of the media here as well, Mountain Times and the Rutland Herald, so we'll be reading about this forum and these candidates in the days and weeks to come. This forum, as Beth said, gives an opportunity for the community to hear from the candidates who are running for the challenged office. There is another office, or another seat on the select board that is running uncontested. And I just wanted to make mention of that we did not invite him tonight because Rick Bowen is running unopposed, so we did not include him in this. But the other four candidates who are running for the two open seats are here today. And so I've supplied them with 11 questions. I sent them to them last week so they could study the questions and come up with their answers. The purpose is not to, have an I got you moment. We want to hear from these candidates what their stances are on these issues. So they have, I would assume, prepared answers for the 11 questions that I sent them last week. Each candidate will have up to 90 seconds to answer these questions. It's important to note that candidates will not be asking questions of one another, nor will I allow candidates to interrupt each other while they're giving their answer. I am expecting, as you should, that these candidates will operate professionally with respect for one another. And I would ask the same for you in the audience, that keep any comments that you may have to yourself for or against any candidate until the end, when we can give these candidates a round of applause at the very end. So before we got going tonight, we did numbers to see the order of the questions. And so we'll do that throughout the opening statement, the 11 questions, and the closing statement. So with that being said, our first opening statement is going to be to Vito.
So good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out. My name is Vito Racenas. I've been a Killington resident for about 30 years and have run a small landscaping and property maintenance business for most of that time. So I've been active in various degrees in town government for about 2 decades. I was on the Development Review Board and as chair 2020 to 2022. I was on a planning commission from 2015 to 2020. I was on the Sherburne Fire Department Building Committee. I was in the Library Roof Committee with Beth, I believe she was on that. Anyway, So I have spoken and written on critical issues facing the town, such as the 1% option tax, among others. I led the initiative to have this is probably not a good thing necessarily. I led the initiative to have the Pickle Barrel AT&T cell tower become a bold icon on the Killington Road commercial district at no cost to the town, by the way. Educationally, I graduated from Boston Latin High School, and I have an economics degree from the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. I have worked in accounting, finance, and auditing. I believe my education and experience has shown itself in interactions with the select board and the boards and committees I have served on. Over the years, I have worked with many of the town officials, administrators, employees, and trust they think favorably of me. I believe I have shown a deep interest and a balanced perspective on challenges facing the town.
Thank you, Vito. Next opening statement is to John.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out this evening and making it through the snow that we seem to be blessed with tonight. I guess I'll start with a little bit about myself, because many of you may or may not know me. I've been a resident in Killington for about 10 years now. Married, I have 2 children, both of which graduated from Woodstock Union High School. So kind of a little background on my family life. As far as my commitment to the town of Killington, I don't have any business function here in town. However, I do chair the Design Review Board. For some folks, they may not be familiar with the Design Review Board. Maybe you've lived elsewhere, and they've called it a zoning board in those particular locations. So I think it's been 5 or 6 years that I've functioned on that board. I believe I bring transparency to that board. I bring honesty, integrity, knowledge. I believe I'm engaging, and I will have a fresh approach to the select board as well. So I think there are skills and assets that I can bring to the table that maybe, well, will contrast my opponent in this election. So thank you for considering me.
Thank you, John. Next opening statement is to Jay.
Good afternoon tonight, and thank you all for coming out. Appreciate it. I live in Killington now. I grew up in Bridgewater, Vermont, just down the road, 12 miles or so. I've lived actually in Killington for 40 years. My wife and I raised 3 children here in town and went through the school system, the Woodstock school system. I was a contractor in town for a long time, and I've served on the select board since last June. I appreciate your being here, and thank you.
Thank you, Jay. And final opening statement is to Andrew.
Hi guys, Andrew Gedham. 2 years ago, I ran for a selectman. I got a huge amount of support from the community. I got over, I believe it was 203 votes. I'm hoping to get way more. I'm running on a platform of honesty, transparency, revealing fraud. Once US Senator John Kennedy said, "If you trust the government, you obviously failed at the history class." I do not trust the government, and I can't compete with the government. Pretty simple. A few months ago, I wrote a letter to the editor, to the Mountain Times, exposing my concerns, revealing some information that the local government didn't want to hear, and my letter wasn't published. And I shared this with the community members, shaking hands, talking about the issues for the last few months. But in reality, I've been doing digging, and I do digging for a living, for the last few years. I believe I can save the town hundreds of thousands of dollars because I know where the dead bodies are buried. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so our first question of the night is, if elected, what will be your top 3 priorities in your first year? And that question is going to start off with John.
I'll keep this pretty short and sweet, folks. As far as the first year and my top 3 priorities would be pretty simple. We need to be more forward-looking than we currently are. We're doing a lot of rear view mirroring, some of which is absolutely necessary. However, the problem is we're not looking forward enough. And if you're not forecasting, you're not planning, you're not going to be successful down the road. Coupled with that, I think we need to affirm policy, process, and procedure. If you listen to select board meetings and you attend select board meetings, it's pretty clear that we have a lot of challenges and nuances that go on in our town government, most of which falls back to policy, process, and procedure not being followed. So I think it's very important that we get those items, working with the town manager to get those items back on the list. And then the next most important one is fiscal restraint. We need to understand that money isn't endless, taxpayers only have so much, and things are only getting more and more expensive. So I think it's very important that we demonstrate fiscal restraint to the best of our abilities to minimize loss of any services, but to maximize the utilization of the tax dollar. Thank you.
Thank you, John. The next is to Jay. If elected, what will be your top 3 priorities in the first year on the board?
Number one would be make sure the budget for this year and next year don't spiral out of control. We need to keep the budget in check. Number 2 would be get any and all audits complete and out in the open and move forward, not backwards. Number 3, continue to support Killington Forward, TIF District, and keep things moving in the right direction.
Thank you. Next is Andrew. If elected, what will be your top 3 priorities in your first year on the board?
I would like to start with setting term limits. A selectman shall not serve more than 2 terms or more than 6 years. So we don't get ourselves in the position we're currently in. Number 2, I would like to bring back the town meeting day, where all residents, voters can participate, ask questions, convenient and inconvenient, voice opinions, and participate. Number 3, I would like to introduce fact-checking to prevent selectmen lying in public, because it happened so many times. So these are the 3 items.
Thank you, Andrew. Vito, you have the last one in this round. If elected, what will be your top 3 priorities in their first year on the board?
So for me, we have an overarching priority, which is the Killington Forward Initiative. The ball is rolling. We are spending millions of dollars on infrastructure to get the developer moving on building out the ski village. We've our ship has listed a little bit because of the goings on in the last year. There's a lot of disruption. We had a lot of turnover in town hall. So we need to get the ship righted. Now, as far as the 3 things in support of getting that done, not necessarily in any order. We have to make sure we have proper accounting for the monies that we are spending, so we are reimbursed properly when the TIF district kicks in, which means when the taxes will start paying off the bonds and the expenditures that we have done for the infrastructure. In addressing the issues that have been brought up as far as what's going on in this town in the last year, and Andrew says it's been going on a long time, we need to get some sort of audit done, whether it's the forensic audit that's been proposed or other audits, which I'll get into down the road on these questions. We need to get something done so we can straighten out the situation in town hall. There's a lot of acrimony going on there. Nobody's working properly. We got a lot of new people. We got a new town manager, and everybody's right now trying to get up to speed. So right now it's not operating efficiently. We need to get that squared away. And in that regard, I would make sure that we support the town staff, the town manager, to do their jobs properly, effectively, and efficiently, because we have so many new people. And that's it.
Thank you, Vito. We're going to move on to question 2 now. And question 2, Jay, you're going to start this one off. And the question is, how would you describe your leadership style and how would that benefit the town?
My leadership style is straightforward and not up for a lot of small talk. Try to keep misinformation to a minimum. Support town employees and the town manager. This will benefit the town by keeping turnover low.
Thank you. Andrew, yes, same question to you. How would you describe your leadership style and how will that benefit the town?
I believe I'm going to start with an adaptive leadership style. Because we're going to start transitioning. So it's going to be transitional at the beginning, leaning into the democratic. Because participating, coming to the meetings, not only select board meetings, DRB meetings once in a while, or even planning commission. We're losing interest in public. Public is just getting bored. We're losing the message. So when people do not participate, it actually affects all of us. I believe that when we address the issues, the rest will come.
Thank you. Vito, the question to you. How would you describe your leadership style and how will that benefit the town?
So I would describe it as consensus building. I am going to be, if I get elected, I will be part of a 5-man select board, which is the leadership entity of the town. So we have to come to a unified decision on any issues that before us. Okay? So my aim would be to run the town and the select board. I'm not going to run the select board, I'm not the chair. But to promote the smooth running of the select board and the town without constant rancor and chaos. We need to focus on the mission before us. We have a huge mission. We have almost $500 million in development facing us over the next 5 to 10 years. That's a huge undertaking, and we don't want to mess it up. That's it.
Thank you. John, question to you. How would you describe your leadership style and how will that benefit the town?
Well, I like the team approach. I think that we have 5 members of a board. We need 5 members to participate. We don't need 3 members to participate or 4 members. We need 5 members to participate. So I think that's very important that you have a leadership style that brings team activity together, because team activity produces better outcomes. You have more ability to bounce things off of each other and just simply yields better results. Honesty, you will always, good or bad, you will always get the truth from me as far as how I feel about a subject. I really am not one to beat around the bush much. Integrity kind of falls in that same category. I'm just going to tell you how I see it and we can discuss it, but it's always open to discussion. Knowledge, if I say something and use a word like a forensic audit, I know what forensic audit means. I know its intention. I know its requirements. So I'm not going to use a word that I think I know what it means, but I don't really know what it means. I have knowledge that I can apply to the job function. And more importantly, forward-looking. We need to look forward. As Vito mentioned, we have a tremendous amount of money flowing through our community in development and development resources for grants, and we need to make sure those monies are allocated and functioning to optimize outcomes for the community, the developer, the other businesses in town, and the individual taxpayers.
Great, thank you, John. All right, so we're on to question 3 right now, and some of the candidates have kind of alluded to this right here, so I'm interested to hear their answers to it. So in recent years, many select board meetings have been marked with disagreements and contentiousness. How will you work to find common ground and consensus with your fellow select board members? And that's going to be to Andrew first.
I was part of the team who created and worked hard to go from 3 selectmen board to a 5 selectmen board. And thank God voters participated and approved that. Since then, lots of things changed. I remember the days prior to that decision. Citizens would ask a question or raise their hand and they would be ignored. Since the 5 Selectmen Board, we had a new chair that did enormously great, Patrick, and now Bill is doing a great job. I believe we have a majority, and that's why you can see the difference right now. Things are moving in the right direction. We started something, and we need to complete that task. We started, right now, we're doing the financial audit. That will expose the things we're all looking for. I know we're going to be talking down the road about forensic audit. I do believe that first we need to see that audit, financial audit through, see what's there. And then we can pursue, if necessary, with the other one. Thank you.
I'm not going to reread the entire question just to move things along, but the question is to you: how will you work to find common ground and consensus with your fellow aldermen, or excuse me, with your fellow selectmen?
Can I save some time if I answer this real quick?
Sure.
Okay. So simply, we just simply debate the issues if needed and focus on running the town, not running people out of town. Okay? What I've noticed over the last year is there's too many personal agendas going on back and forth, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you very much. John, same question to you. How will you work to find common ground and consensus with your fellow select board members?
So I think Andrew brought up the 5-person board. I think it's been good for town, but it's also interesting because here we have a seat that's running uncontested. So there's definitely concern, I think, that maybe there isn't enough interest for the 5-person board. We need to make the 5-person board work. So I hope we can get more people in the community out and involved so that we can have a full board and get things done. I think the first question you need to ask yourself when you're sitting on this end of the table is why are you here? Do you want to be a productive member of the select board? Do you want to be an antagonist? Do you want to be a disruptor? Or do you want to get things done? Or do you want to sit quietly and say not much of anything throughout the entire year? So I think that's very important, is to define what it is that you desire to achieve in your role as a select board member. We need to define the needs of the community, how we're going to utilize the different funds, workforce housing, the Killington Road project. We need to define a lot of these things, and then we need to engage in conversation. And that's productive conversation. That's not argumentative. That's not whataboutism. It's strictly about how do we move forward, what are the needs of the community, and how do we grow as a community.
Thank you, John. Jay, same question to you. How will you work to find common ground and consensus with your fellow select board members?
Well, with the hiring of a new town manager, I'm hoping that does us a lot of good. I think we have somebody that is going to stay in that role for a long time, and that's going to be a great help. Getting this audit done and complete, and getting it behind us, and getting everybody on the same page is going to be a huge improvement. After that, I hope we can all get together, we can work together, and we can work towards an ultimate goal in a professional manner.
Thank you. So these next two questions are actually questions that people submitted. The KPAA had put out in its newsletter and in its e-blast seeking residents and people in the community to submit questions. So these next two questions are actually from folks who read our newsletter. So the questions are going to start to Vito. How do you plan on supporting Killington's police, fire, EMS services in addressing staffing and funding challenges?
The bottom line is we need to fund them properly. What I would like to see is an analysis of peak service times to efficiently distribute staff on all emergency levels. That way we can utilize we can only afford so much personnel in the police department, in the fire department, and so we need to take a good hard look at that and staff it properly so we can make efficient use of our funds. Now, I've always been very supportive of WIT, the fire department. I remember one year WIT was asking for about $50,000 for his budget, and I said that's nowhere near enough because we need, patrols in the summertime because that's when all the burglaries occur. You remember that? Okay. So that shows that, I'm supportive of the police, I would think, I would hope. And I was also on the firehouse committee, and we were successful in building a new public service building. So I'm fully committed to our emergency services. It's a hard task because, again, we have budgetary considerations. It's always a debate what we can, add or cut or, all this different stuff. So I'm fully supportive. It's going to be a hard task to get it done right, but I'm all for it.
John, same question to you. How do you plan on supporting the Killington Police, Fire, EMS services in addressing their staffing and funding challenges?
Well, first of all, I'm a staunch proponent for emergency services, law enforcement officers, first responders. I think when it's all said and done, if we don't have those in our community, we have a lot of challenges and uphill battles that we'd rather not have to address. So if we can have these folks out there servicing our community and keeping us all safe, healthy, and well, then we are in a much better position than if we don't. Budget-wise, I feel like, generally speaking, budgets have been, I think, pretty reasonable as it relates to the police, fire departments. Police department consistently comes in under budget. The fire department certainly seems to be in growth mode, and the budget numbers they're starting to get heavy. I think they're still in a reasonable place, but I think they're starting to get to the point where they're heavy. So to Vito's point, I think we need to try to address what those peak operational situations are, when we need staffing, when we don't need staffing, to try to make sure that we're holding those at reasonable levels. And then, I think the next big challenge that we have is recruiting, right? Whit will tell you that he budgets for 2 officers a year that he can't yield out there in the world. So I do have executive recruiting experience in my background, and would be more than happy to be involved in that and try to create some recruiting incentives and some recruiting techniques that maybe we can use to yield officers. And that may mean poaching from other systems in other towns and cities, but we need these folks in Killington to keep us safe.
Thank you. Jay, same question to you. How do you plan on supporting Killington's police, fire, EMS services in addressing their staffing and funding challenges?
Well, I think the police are on the right track, expanding slowly and keeping their budget increasing the same way. I think the fire and EMS grew too fast, and the budget is too large for the town to support at this time. As development increases and the grand list grows, we can move forward with a bigger department. In the meantime, we need to promote volunteerism until that growth happens. I really think that if the people in this town understand that they need this service and it will help keep their taxes down, if they volunteer on the fire department, I volunteered for years. I think if we can get that message across, it's eventually going to get to people, and they're going to start to kick in and do their part in their community. It is their community, and they need to support that community.
Thank you. And Andrew, rounding out this question is, how do you plan on supporting Killington's police, fire, EMS services in addressing their staffing and funding challenges?
I actually agree with Jay on everything he said. I would like to add that I'm a hands-on guy. I would like every selectman to jump in a police cruiser, spend a few hours with a policeman, patrolling, stopping people by, responding. I would love to go to the fire station and hang out with them for a few hours. Go on that call, drive in that truck and see what kind of equipment they're caring. Because I've been in those meetings where the fire department complained that some of the equipment is too old. So I would actually like to see what is old, what's good, what works, what doesn't work. Same with EMS. I believe that every selectman should try it at least once so they know what they're dealing with. And when they will see that, touch that, talk to people face to face, spend a few hours in one car, it will make a big difference for us moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're on to question 5, and again, this was a question that was sent here to the KPAA, and John, you're going to start it off. Residents have raised concern about road maintenance and snow removal across town. Do you consider this an issue? How will you address this concern?
Well, I think it's important to remember that in Killington we have a town manager form of government, so this really is less, it is a select board issue to a degree, but it's more of a town manager's level issue, and that town manager reports back to the select board. So caveating that, I would say, yeah, we have some challenges this year. It's notable that, you know, the last 2 weeks since that last snowstorm, East Mountain Road has been, I don't know, 2 inches deep in hard pack. And I, you know, understand it's been very cold. Certain treatments don't work at certain temperatures, so I understand there's variables, and it's very easy to say, yeah, but the roads aren't good. Well, the other fact is the roads aren't good. East Mountain Road was cut up this year in a million pieces when we put the pipeline in. They repaved it, and frost came and went, and all that repavement surface is kind of lifted and fallen and created issues. That being said, roads in general, something I heard recently in the select board meeting that kind of had me asking some questions, where a select board member, when they were discussing budget, was talking about crack sealing the paving, and they said, well, the roads are too far gone to crack seal the paving. Okay. 5-10 minutes further into the conversation, there was discussion about paving and funds for paving, so on and so forth, and it was stated that there were no roads this year on the schedule to be paved. So I don't understand how we can have roads that are not up to snuff, at least to be preserved using crack sealing technology, but we don't have roads that are required to be paved. So there's some kind of a disconnect, and I really hope that the town manager can work with the Public Works Department to help come up with a better plan for long-term maintenance.
Thank you, John. Next is Jay. Residents have raised concern about road maintenance and snow removal across town. Do you think that this is an issue, and how will you address this concern?
So this is underway. The town manager and the road foreman have been tasked with assessing the roads, and I believe it will help when we get our Department of Public Works Director, if you want to call him that, would be in on this. They've been tasked to assess the roads and bring that back to the select board to create an overall plan for the highways. As far as the winter roads go, we have a new road foreman. We have a almost totally new road staff, and I think they've done a pretty good job this year for being all new. And it's been kind of a weird winter too. There's just been a lot of cold. Salt doesn't work well. They've been trying to use more sand to make the salt go further. We're having troubles acquiring salt. Overall, I think they've done a pretty good job, and I thank them.
Thank you, Jay. Andrew, the question is to you. Residents have raised concern about road maintenance and snow removal across town. Do you consider this an issue, and how will you address this concern?
I believe that snow removal is not an issue right now. I plow for a living, I drive around, I see the guys at 2 a.m. and sometimes at 9 p.m. So like I really see them out there. My routes all over the place, Route 100, East Mountain Road, I did not have any issues so far. But we have an issue in the summer with the main road, Killington Road, and other roads that are crumbling. and we need to address them, and we don't have the money in the budget. Just an example, last year, we ripped up Winterbury Road. We spent all the money repairing it because it was supposed to be properly repaired and left alone, and yet we ended up paving it this year. And that one coat of pavement actually deserves a second coat to survive our harsh winters, and it's not in the budget. I remember at the select board meeting, one of the locals from the Coffee House Road, he came and said, listen, our road was supposed to be repaved 10 years ago, and nothing's being done. Our selectmen talk about stuff, but nothing's ever being done. So that's why I would like to introduce fact-checking, and we should be able to listen to our people. And from one select board meeting to another one, when we approve the meetings, we should look at the questions that were asked prior, and we should follow up. I have a good example. It's like for residents to understand. It's like you have a car. The town has the money to change the oil and clean and replace the air filter, but the car needs new winter tires, and that's $1,000. That's a big expense comparing to oil change.
Thank you.
And we don't have that in the budget.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Andrew. Vito, you are finishing out this round. Residents have raised concern about road maintenance and snow removal across town. Do you consider this an issue, and how will you address this concern?
I think our other candidates have pretty much answered the question. I agree with Jay that we've had this massive turnover in the road crew. And what that resulted in is a lot of inexperienced people. And I just notice it, just from my house, there's a couple of corners, and how long it takes for the new guys to push the snowbanks on the corners, compared to what it used to be. So I know I'm happy they're doing it slow, because they can do a lot of damage in a hurry if they don't do it properly. So that's part of the issue. What John mentioned about the schedule of road maintenance. I know a few years ago, Chip Hagenbarth, who is our road manager and became our town manager, did a whole schedule based upon standard lives of our particular roads, out 5, 10 years, maybe even 20 years. So that's the schedule I think John was referring to. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to revise that schedule based upon the current condition of our roads. Again, I think most of our issues with whether it's the snow plowing, whether it's getting lines painted, whether it's getting roads paved, aside from budgetary issues, is because we get such massive turnover this year.
So on a point of personal privilege, I'd just love to have a sign that says bump or something on East Mountain Road, where right near the Grand. Oh, I forget that spot every time, and I bottom my truck out. But I'll talk to Patrick about that. Yeah.
Just bottom out, your truck will stop.
Speed bump.
All right, so we're on to question 6, and Jay, you're going to lead this question off. So Articles 4 and 5 on the town meeting day ballot concern an audit of the town finances. Some of the estimated costs of a forensic audit have ranged anywhere from $30,000 to over $200,000. Do you support an expenditure of this kind, or do you think there's an alternative to reassure Killington taxpayers? Please explain your answer.
Number one, I think the scope of the audit is too large, and it needs to be more defined, and I think that will reduce the final cost of the audit. We also need an audit. Nobody is going to be, there's a lot of people that will not be happy until the audit is done, published, out in the open, and everybody understands what's going on. Some people might not even be happy then, I don't know. There's only so much you can do. The reality is right now, it's in the hands of the voters. It's on the ballot, and if the voters decide to spend that kind of money, then we will have to find that money and we'll have to pay for it. I personally think we need something, but not the scope it has right now. It's just gonna be too expensive.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Andrew, the questions to you on town meeting day, Articles 4 and 5 are relative to an audit, a forensic audit the estimates are ranging anywhere between 30,000 to 200,000. Do you support an expenditure like that, or do you think that there's an alternative that could be done to help reassure taxpayers? Please explain your answer.
I'm running to be a selectman because I believe in the last few years I've been connecting dots, finding things, digging, finding fraud, money misusage. When I asked my fellow friends around here, so what are you guys gonna accomplish with that forensic audit? Throw me some numbers. I'd like to hear the numbers. I'm a numbers guy. And they're saying, no, there is like few hours of overtime, few days, whatever, right? So nobody can come up with more than $30,000. Wow. I came up with hundreds of thousands of dollars that were misused. And I have the names. Who did it, when, how, who went where. I have it. I've done this already. And that was one of the things that was presented in my letter to the editor that was not published. One of them, last year, I opened up the book, page 21, Chad Hedgenbarth got paid $60,000 for nothing.
Be careful.
It's in the book, it's a fact, and I brought this up. Mike, you were not here, so you don't even know. So he got paid $86,000 for a year's salary, but he only worked that year 3.5 months. And I asked selectmen, and the chair at that time, Jim Half, screamed, it wasn't us, it was that person, it was the town manager, and blamed everybody else. So what we've done, we did the fact checking that I'm referring to. So we went and picked up the warrants that were signed, and guess what? To a shocker, it was not a $60,000 one-time payment. He was getting paid twice a month for 6 months. And the warrants were signed by selectmen.
Okay,
It wasn't a surprise.
Your time.
It's just one of the examples, guys.
Thank you very much. Vito, the question is to you. Articles 4 and 5 on the town meeting day ballot concern the audit of the town finances. Estimates have ranged anywhere from 30,000 to 200,000. Do you support an expenditure of this kind, or do you think there's an alternative that can help reassure the taxpayers in Killington? Please explain your answer.
I fully support the forensic audit, as it's the only current choice available. There are alternatives, which I'll explain. But I really want Andrew's concerns to be addressed. Now, if he says he's got the goods, he can present it to the auditors and give them leads. And that will actually save us money because they don't need to ferret out the stuff themselves. So thank you, Andrew.
And I'm happy to do so.
Okay, good. Now, there are other issues, possibly. There's rumors about this and that and the other thing, ours, yada, yada. All these issues need to be addressed somehow. This audit would do that. And I would hope this audit would clear the air in a town administrative offices, because I think the next one of the next questions is about the town morale, and I think it would go a long way to improve that morale and improve efficiency in the town administration. Get things done without worrying about people accusing you of this, that, and the other thing. People like citizens like Andrew up in the select board meeting saying, "Lee, why aren't you listening to me? Do this, do that." So I am totally in favor of that audit. Okay, now having said that, back in July, in front of the select board, I went in front of the select board and said, why don't you guys consider doing an operational or compliance audit. Now, an operational audit basically goes in, they assess the efficiency of an operation, whether you're doing things efficiently, whether you're getting the job done in a proper amount of time, and so on. It has less to do with finances, but more to do with the way things are done. A compliance audit, however, checks whether you're complying with your own procedures, whether it be payroll, personnel, state laws, and federal laws, like employment stuff, okay? So that would be all checked to see if we were in compliance. And that would include vacation, severance, et cetera, which people have been complaining about.
Thank you, Vito. Thank you. Sorry to cut you off. John, you're gonna round things off here. Articles 4 and 5 in the town meeting day ballot concern an audit of the town finances. Could be expensive. What are your thoughts to help reassure voters?
The quick answer is yes, 100%. Unequivocally, I think we need to do this. We need to be able to get all the information, all the facts on the table, put it all out there. Everybody knows what's going on. People can stop making insinuations or only looking in certain spots. We can just get that all done. So yes, in a quick nutshell. But I also want to use this as a compare and contrast moment. So last year when we sat here at this table in the spring, Mr. Hickory was very clear that he was.
I'm not going here. We're not going
No,
here.
this is
We're not going here.
This is not a. This
We're
is,
not going here.
As long as it's not a personal attack.
It's not a personal
Okay.
attack.
It can't be a
So
personal attack.
it's a compare and contrast. So I'd like to get some time back if I could, Mike. So he sat at this table and called for a forensic audit. So I want a forensic audit for all these reasons. Went on and on. Okay, perfect. So beat me in the election fair and square. Congratulations, Jay. I think that's wonderful. Thank you for serving the community. However, I came to multiple select board meetings and I kept trying to promote the idea of, well, aren't we going to do this forensic audit that was discussed? Because that's what I would do. I'm honest, I'm transparent. Well, no. And then after about 6 months, we had a select board meeting and Mr. Hickory showed up and he says he's no longer in favor of a forensic audit. And, you know, that he didn't understand what a forensic audit was. All of
That's
which
not
is
a
fine.
personal attack.
All of which is fine.
That happened during a meeting.
All of which is fine. But now tonight, we're here again having the same conversation about a forensic audit, and now we're back for a forensic audit. So I guess when it comes to honesty and integrity, I ask you to vote for John Wysocki. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on to question 7. And I just want to remind the candidates that we want to keep this civil, okay? And this actually, next question is probably very apropos right now. There's a perception that the morality in town hall, with town hall employees, is very low. As a select board member, what can you do to help improve this? Morale. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Morale. I apologize to all those employees out there. I'm so sorry. So there's a perception that morale in town hall is very, very low. As a select board member, what can you do to help improve this? And that question is going to start out with Andrew. Thank you.
All the employees need and want to feel valued. It's who wants to go to work and not enjoy it? This question was accurate a year ago, 8 months ago, but since Dave Atherton, who stepped in and started steering this ship in the right direction, since Bill Vines, Patrick Cushing, Jay Hickory, and Ricky Bowen teamed up and started working on one cause, one goal, to protect employees, encourage them, things changed. I go into the town hall every day, no, not every day, once a week. I stop by, shake hands, say, hey, how are you doing? What's new? Things are different. Air is different. I believe we're on the right path. And I believe that Patrick Cushing, with the support of the select board, will take it in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Vito, there's a perception that town employee morale is low. As a select board member, what will you do to help improve it?
Okay, as I stated in the previous question, an audit would would hopefully clean up and clear the air in the town hall. Stop with the rumors, stop with the accusations, stop with the innuendo, and clear the air, okay? If there are favorites being played, people are being mistreated, if there's a hostile work environment, the audit would reveal these problems. All these things have come up over the course of the summer and the year. And again, we should be running this town, not running people out of this town. And to agree with Andrew, at least on one level, I think we need to support, as a select board, we need to support strongly Pat Cushing as our town manager. So he can have strong leadership in the town hall and create a proper environment for the people working there. That's it.
Thank you, Vito. John, the question to you, there's a perception that morale for town employees is low. As a select board member, what can you do to help improve this?
So I think leaders lead, and in Killington, again, we have a town manager form of government. So Mr. Cushing is our town manager, and I think it's his role and responsibility to work with the individuals if he sees morale issues amongst the team, to help bring them together, maybe do some team building exercises, things like this, to try to enhance the group environment and promote cohesion within them. And if the select board needs to become involved, then the select board becomes involved at a higher level in a more global perspective. However, again, we are a town manager form of government, so the select board's role in individual in office morale is really probably not its primary focus. We need to be looking forward.
Okay. Jay, you're going to round up this round of questioning. So there's a perception that morale with town employees is low. As a select board member, what can you do to help improve this?
So again, I keep coming back to it, and others come back to it a lot too. I think now having a full-time, hopefully long-lasting town manager is going to go a long way to resolve this problem. He'll be there directly to support employees, to keep them focused, to keep them engaged, and keep them efficient. I think it is up to the select board to also, to some degree, encourage the employees. Nobody likes to go to work where they don't think they're wanted. That's it.
Thank you, Jay. So now we're on to question 8, and Vito, you're going to start this round off. In the coming weeks, there will be a public hearing to share information regarding the redesign and reconstruction of the Killington Road. What changes or improvement, if any, would you like to see?
I wish I had gone to that meeting. Over the course of time, for the last 20 years, when I've been sort of had my nose to the ground with the government and there's been a lot of talk. Various proposals have been run by the electorate about what to do with the road. Personally, this is just my personal opinion. Just pave the road already. Okay, that's what I want to see done. You could possibly make the sidewalks continuous from the top of the mountain down to Route 4. This will never happen, but if we buried the utilities, that'd be nice, as far as the presentation of the town. That's not going to happen. It's way too expensive. Okay, there are proposals out there for Suicide Lane, which is a center lane, which you can travel in both directions, depending upon, if there's anybody coming. And rotaries. I know there's a rotary in the ski village plans up between like Snow Shed and the other side, and they're going to develop a whole big huge building there with underpass and all that. So as far as that one goes, that's up there, I don't care. But if it's down like on West Hill Road meets the access road, that I certainly don't want. So, but I'm in favor of considering any and all changes if that's what the town wants.
All right, thank you, Vito. John, the question to you is, in the coming weeks, there'll be a public hearing to share information regarding the redesign and reconstruction of Killington Road. What changes, if any, would you like to see?
So generally speaking, the conceptual plan has already been completed, and under the RAISE grant, which is I think $25 million, that's how the appropriation for the payment for most of this activity will be done. That includes things for bus traffic, bus pull-offs, lighting, so on and so forth. Probably the one thing that I feel we should address, and I just don't know how or the best way to do so. Maybe it's rotaries would be helpful with that, would be speed control. I think we can all agree that at any given time, if you're coming down the access road and you're doing even 5 over, there are people blowing by you at 15 over what you're doing 5 over, which means they're doing 50 down the access road. So somehow I think speed control, bumps, rotaries, whatever the current engineering models are for such activities would be appropriate. But other than that, again, most of it's already done in the conceptual phase for lighting and bus activity, all the things that will need to be designed.
Thank you. Jay, in the coming weeks, there'll be a public hearing to share information regarding the redesign and reconstruction of Killington Road. What changes or improvements would you like to see?
I guess the one thing I'd really like to see happen up there is I would like to see that what a lot of people call the slip lane off of West Hill, off of the access road, heading down West Hill. I would like to see that slip lane eliminated. It's a very dangerous thing. People need to go to the traffic light and turn right. That will slow that traffic down at the top of West Hill before they come down that slip lane at 35 miles an hour, and then they just keep gaining speed. If they have to stop at a light and turn right, I believe it's going to help that a lot, at least up near the top of the road. And it's a very dangerous thing right there. People come through there very fast.
Thank you, Jay. Andrew, last part to you is, and the question is, in the coming weeks, there'll be a public hearing to share information regarding the redesign and reconstruction of Killington Road. What changes or improvements would you like to see?
Killington Road is the main artery for our town, at least to the town, to the resort, all the restaurants. That road has to be fixed. It cannot be patched. It has to be fixed from Anthony Way up here all the way up. We had a discussion a couple months prior where selectmen voted not to spend $141,000 to repave the road from Anthony Way to the West Hill Road. They thought cold patching again would have worked, and obviously it didn't. But that was a really good deal. $141,000 for that section of the road. We should have done it, but it is what it is. We just have to look further. We don't have the money. I mean, money's coming. I mean, even if you pick up the Mountain Times from 2 weeks ago, it says here we have a shortfall of $488,000. But guys, in reality, you don't know what I know. It's actually over $1 million, because there are a few other items that are not there. When I had my hand up, they did not allow me to speak. And that's why this number is inaccurate. And as a taxpayer and a resident, I believe that we, the taxpayer, should know that we're on the hook for more money. And finding that money, obviously these guys, our selectmen, are trying to find savings somewhere, but we need to be realistic. We need to come up with more money. That will mean more taxes. And I don't like taxes. Nobody likes taxes. But it's going to be painful. We'll have to bite the lip and realize, like my suggestion was, it's easier to rip that Band-Aid once instead of doing it a few times.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. We are moving on to question 9 right now. And these next 2 questions were supplied to us from our good friends up at the resort. How would you, this will be, John, you'll start this one off. How do you view the relationship between the resort and the town, and what role should the select board play in maintaining a healthy balance?
So I know the question comes from the resort, so it's a resort-focused question. However, I think it's commerce in general that we're talking about here, right? I mean, it's the job of the select board to be kind of a conduit to help encourage business and encourage growth within our community, and healthy growth at that. So surely it's focused at the resort level because they're our largest taxpayer, primary employer, the major attraction in town. So that's very significant. However, all of the businesses that surround the resort are also very important to the town. So I think we need to have a focus also at that level to all the service businesses that are associated with the resort. I think it's important that we have a working relationship with the resort, but I think this is where having a real estate background, a industrial background, a knowledge base as it relates to contracts and negotiation become very important, because when you sit at a table with high-level developers and things like that, you need to understand what they're talking about. So you need to understand terminology. You need to have background understanding and be able to have things to be able to pull on. So I think I bring that to the table. I feel that relationship with the resort is absolutely important, in fact, imperative, but it can't be at the price of the taxpayer. We always have to consider the balance between the taxpayer as the business and the taxpayer individuals and the community as a whole.
Thank you, John. Jay, the question is to you. How do you view the relationship between the resort and the town, and what role should the select board play in maintaining a healthy balance?
So typically, what is good for the mountain is good for the town. The board needs to be supportive in their efforts to improve the mountain and have a good four-season experience up there.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Andrew, to you, how do you view the relationship between the resort and the town, and what role does the select board play in maintaining a healthy balance?
I believe the relationship between the resort and the town is like old, good marriage. People are married for a long time, they know each other, and they can trust each other in good days and bad days. A few weeks ago, during the big snowstorm that we had a problem. Our fuel pump at the town garage froze, had an issue. So in the middle of the huge storm, we were facing the challenge where the trucks would have stopped or ran out of fuel. So what happened? Our leadership, the town manager, Chad, and a few other people got together, actually with two. They picked up the phone, they made a few calls, and they actually were able to get some fuel from the resort. The resort helped us when we were in need, and we're all thankful for a nice, good, healthy, working relationship with them that we have. I believe that relationship will grow as long as we respect each other and help each other. Thank you.
Thank you. And Vito, final question on this one is to you. How do you view the relationship between the town and the resort, and what role should the select board play in maintaining that healthy balance?
Well, I believe we have a pretty good relationship with the resort. I think we have to include a third party in the developer of the ski village in this discussion. I think we need to, with the resort, with the developer and the town, communication is key. We need to know what each other is doing, especially when it affects people's pocketbooks. The one thing about the resort, they are the major taxpayer in town, okay? So we have to look at it that way. We have to look at them as a taxpayer, not just all the people in town. Although the select board should be looking out for all taxpayers, but I would think that they would have to look at the individual people, property owners kind of thing. But we have to maintain communication, so everybody knows what everybody's doing. Is this the one with the tourists? No. No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. And we are going to move on to that question 10. And Jay, you're going to lead this one off. What is your vision for the town over the next 5 to 10 years, and how does tourism fit into your vision?
I would like to see the water project and the access road projects completed, the village in progress, if not completed, affordable housing completed, more families moving here to enjoy everything we have to offer and supporting our schools.
Thank you, Jay. Andrew, the question is, what is your vision for the town over the next 5 to 10 years, and how does tourism fit into that vision?
Many people talk to talk, but I believe we need to walk the walk. And move Killington forward sometimes takes stepping backwards to reassess where we are. It's like dancing. A few steps forward, a step back. Nothing goes straight, not even the stock market. So yes, we know which way we would like to go, but there are a few things that are pulling us back. And it's natural for us to stop, take a look, see what mistakes we've made. Hopefully we've learned from our mistakes and readjust and move forward. So 5-10 years from now, I believe we're going to lose more locals because of the taxation. People already struggling, people are not going to be able to stay in Killington, and that's my biggest concern, because every year I see more and more old-timers, I call them friends, who tell me, Andrew, sorry, it's too expensive. I can't afford to live in Vermont anymore. It's a mini California. So I would like to see us do something about it. Of course, we need a good tax base. The more people can build, it will put less pressure on all of our shoulders. Is it going to happen or not? We'll see. I mean, obviously we're moving in that right direction, but we have to be supportive of the developers. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Vito, the question to you is, what is your vision for the town over the next 5 to 10 years, and how does tourism fit in that vision?
So, I think our path has been pretty much laid out with the Killington Forward initiative. Okay, as I said before, we have over $500 million of development in the pipeline. I think we have to husband that growth, make sure we don't step in the poo-poo, and fall. We need to successfully navigate the development and avoid any pitfalls legally and economically. So as far as tourism goes, we're a resort community. There's no doubt about that. Unfortunately, that has its realities economically and socially. Housing prices are going up because of short-term rentals and development. Taxes, as a result, also creates an unaffordable situation for homeowners, as the job market does not supply the income necessary to own a home here. So it's a complex problem. I'm not sure we can overcome it, but if we stay the course, if we get the development done, increase the grant list to the point where a bigger tax contribution is coming off the top of the mountain, it could possibly reduce the tax load on property owners downstream. As Jay said, we have workforce housing in the plan. I would like to see that done. Also, I would like to see a little more attention paid to public transport, because most of the workers who work on the mountain and even in town at the restaurants, bars, and so on are coming from adjoining communities. So we need to do something a little more about that. That's it.
Thank you, Vito. John, you're going to finish this question 10 out, and that is, what is your vision for the town over the next 5 to 10 years, and how does tourism fit in that vision?
Well, first of all, I hope I can still afford to live in Killington in 5 or 10 years, so that's I guess where I'll start. That being said, intentional growth, through good civil planning with our business partners, including KPAA, to help organize some of these things. We need to ensure that we have good plans to create optimal outcomes, and that it does include getting the village up so that we can maintain the tax base the way it is, to try to drive down taxes ideally. We are a tourist-based economy in Vermont. It's a decision that was made long ago, so we really don't have much option, certainly in the immediate future, to change that, and we live in a tourist community. So it is and will be a tourist-based economy. The question is, how do we sustain locals and local activity? How do we make it so that this youngster here can afford to live in Killington down the road, or my boys can afford to live in Killington, or Witt's children can afford to live in Killington? So I think those are the struggles and those are the real challenges that we're looking forward at But it's going to take good planning. We need to get the workforce housing in place so that we have staff to be able to allow businesses to function and operate. And then that generates more tax revenue to, again, try to subsidize the tax base. It's going to take good planning, and it's just going to be a challenge to make sure that we can keep as many people living here as possible.
Great job. Thank you very much. And our last question of the evening before we do our closing statements. And Andrew, you're going to lead off with this one. And the question is, our town rec programs could go through some amazing transformations in the next few years. Currently, our pool has surpassed its lifespan and needs to be replaced. Our town office, relocated to Route 4, has left the rec with a beautiful building full of opportunities. Where do you stand on the expansion of the rec department, and how do you see them being funded if the voters decide that they are important features worth being pursued?
My son is 7. For the last few summers, he went to the camp, playing on the river road, swimming in the pool, and you cannot put a price tag on that smile. Not only just my child's smile, any other child that hangs out. Even 4th of July parties there, they're great. That's where all the community, and actually tourists, the last few years, we had so many people come and just join us there. It's, I would say this is one of the most important pieces of property that we own. Obviously, the biggest challenge right now, when we're facing budget deficits, where can we come up with the money to do so? Last year, I stood up at the meeting when we were presented with 3 different cases, $1 million, $5 million, $15 million to upgrade the rec center. And one of the visions I had was to sell one of the properties that the town purchased a few years ago. Sadly, to find out that the property that we bought was quietly sold under the table for 10 cents on the dollar. When I talked to Dave Atherton and lawyers, the transaction wasn't properly done, and the independent appraisal wasn't done. It was quietly sold. None of us read about it in the Mountain Times. None of us. And I was shocked to find out that the property that we bought was sold without our knowledge. I talked to my realtor, actually a few of them, and they mentioned that the value should have been $1.5 to $2 million, and the property was sold only for $172,000, and the original cost was $631,000. So the difference was waived by selectmen, and that was done wrongly because they have no power to do so on the Civil Board of Abatement.
Thank you. Let's see, Vito, the question is to you, and I'll pare it back just for time.
You don't have to reread it.
Okay.
I think people get it.
Okay.
All right, so the pool has been on the minds of town government, God, it's got to be close to 15 to 20 years almost now. I remember it was, there was talk about, patching it up, talking about how we're going to fund it, and so on and so forth. Reserve funds talked about whether they got done, I don't remember, but I think it's definitely an expensive undertaking. However, it is a focal recreational destination in town in the summer. I have not seen any plans for the old town offices. I mean, I just don't know what they might be proposing. So I think we should look at making the rec department even more self-sustaining than it is now. And that boils down to user fees. There's a lot of people who come into our town who use our facilities, and well, we need to start charging. That's the bottom line, because I actually have read articles where we have such low user fees here compared to other communities like Stowe, for instance, that maybe that would be a partial solution to funding further development of the rec center and what it offers. Okay, so as for financing beyond that, there is talk of reviving the 1% sales tax to finance expansion of the rec center, getting the pool squared away, and other capital projects in town. The other possibilities for funding the pool and other expansion is possibly grants and private fundraising. And that's it.
Thank you, Vito. John, the question to you is about recreation. Where do you stand on the expansion of rec programs if the voters decide that these features are worth pursuing?
So this is actually a pretty interesting one. I was able to review the plans today. I think I was the first member of the public, non-board member, to receive and review the plans. It's actually a pretty dynamic plan that's being presented. I think Andrew said it well, that, you know, all of our children, if you have children, if you pick them up after school, when they've gone down to the rec center, the library, and the joy that they've had and the bonding experiences that they've had with their classmates and their friends is absolutely priceless. What happens on 4th of July, priceless. So it's something we need to address and we need to figure out. I've been impressed by some people who've commented to me as far as like the exuberance that they have for it. I didn't realize, like, I loved the program and I loved the rec center, but I was amazed at some people how exuberant some people are about it. So I think it's a great plan from what I can see. I'm struggling with the price tag, honestly. The high side price tag for the building and the pool was mentioned to me in the $8 million range. How we pay $8 million right now in our current fiscal situation. Last night it was mentioned maybe we're $761,000 in the operating hole or revenue hole for our current budget. So like just looking at that, it's very hard to see where we're going to come up with 8.5 million. However, yes, that 1% sales tax is a potential option. The challenge there is making sure that if we do vote for it, that it's allocated very specifically to fund like this type of a project or whatever is decided by the voters to fund it. And then it doesn't just get into a leaky bucket and end up all over the place. And then we're trying to figure out how we're paying for this thing that we all love. There are grants out there. I know Vermont Adaptive is interested. One of the functions in the pool area will be an adaptive entry point, both for seniors and for the adaptive community. So maybe there's grant money out there for that. Speaking with Rebecca, first of all, she's doing a great job in the rec department. She's creating extra revenue opportunities. She's looking at the fee structures to try to make sure that we're in the right places, so on and so forth. I know my time is up, but I'll also say as it relates to trying to fund it, and Andrew had mentioned selling real estate, please all let's remember that property went up for a tax sale, and property's only worth what someone will pay for it, and it did not sell, so there's that.
Thank you, John. And Jay, the last one on this question, where do you stand on the... You good with it? Okay.
So my children went to the rec center and did camps and stuff, and now my grandchildren are starting to go there to camps. So it's a great place. It is a great location. I don't think there's another place in Vermont that the location is as nice. I would like to see the building renovated. I'd like to see it used for more activities for the rec and money-making activities throughout the winter season. We need to deal with pool. There is a certain amount of money going into a reserve account for the pool every year. It's not enough to, you know, make a huge difference, but there is money going in there. So when we do something at the rec, we need to make sure we do it in a fiscally responsible manner. Hopefully, we have the option of utilizing grants and, you know, even private donations. I really would like to see the rec updated and brought into the, you know, it just needs a serious upgrade. It's kind of sad.
Great, thank you, Jay. All right, we've come to our closing statements now, and we're going to start our closing statements right where we started the evening with Vito. You have the first closing statement.
So, My contention is that what we need to do as a select board is to support the town administration. And at the top of that is the town manager. One of our biggest problems in the course of the last, I don't know, 5 years or so, I mean, I don't know, how many town managers do we have, like 4 or 5? So that inconsistency bred a lot of, I'm not gonna say discord in the town administration, but it bred a lot of confusion. People were told different things by different managers, didn't know which way they gotta go, so there was a lot of confusion, a lot of accounting errors happened, bookkeeping, filing, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we need to get some consistency, some longevity out of this current town manager. He's a native, grew up in town, seems to be dedicated to the community. So my mission, if elected, would be to give him all the support he needs to make a success out of the town administration. Beyond that, I think we need to, because there's such big turnover in the administration and the road crew, that we have a little patience with these people until they properly train, get enough experience to do their jobs efficiently and effectively, and go forward with that. And the other thing I have been concerned about, and I have voiced that opinion in the Mountain Times and in select boards, is we need to monitor our expenditures regarding the TIF program and FEMA monies that we're getting. Because if we don't do it right, we may end up having to repay that money or face penalties for misusing those funds. And that's it.
Thank you, Vito. John, closing statement?
Thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you for the people online for taking time out of your evening to come and listen to all of us speak on the subject. I think we do need to support the town manager. We have had a tremendous amount of influx, outflux, change, all kinds of problems. We need stability, so we need to support our town manager. He needs to support the staff. We need to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. We need to look forward. We need to look for growth opportunities. We need to think to the question, where are we going to be in 5 or 10 years? Not where were we last week, not where we'll be tomorrow, but we need to look forward. The select board, in my opinion, should be looking further down the road and dealing with today, but not in the moment today. In the moment today, things should happen at the town manager level. We need more forecasting. We need more foresight. We need more vision. I think it's imperative that if you take the seat as a select board person, that you actually participate, that you're not just showing up and sitting quietly and not engaging in conversation and not participating and not provoking thought. Those are things that I promise I'll bring to the table. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Jake, closing statement?
Yeah, so I think, I hate to keep going back to the fact that we hired a town manager and we really need to support him and keep him in that role. And, I would like to see him stay 5, 10, 15 years. In turn, he's going to support staff. He's going to help that problem there. And we need to support not only him, but we need to keep the turnover down. I think we've had 10, or counting Patrick, maybe 11 town managers in the last 10 years. So that situation is just totally unacceptable, and we can't have that again. So if we support Patrick, we keep our, get our road crew trained, get them good, maintain them, and then get a competent public works director, get working on all the road problems, and just support all the staff. It's probably not necessarily the select board's job to do that, but a little encouragement along the way doesn't hurt anybody. So thank everybody for being here tonight. Appreciate it. And all the people online, thank you. And all you guys, thank you. And have a good night.
Thank you, Jay. Andrew. Closing statement.
Thank you guys for coming over. It is important to share the information, but also participate. It is crucial to support each other also. But before moving forward, we do need to look back and realize mistakes we've made and make adjustments. I believe this board, the 5 Selectmen Board, is on the right path, and we're gonna get there. I truly believe we're gonna get there. We're gonna come up with new sources of money. Hopefully, we'll get more buildings built, new condominiums, new people moving into the area. This way, we can actually build our dreams. We can get the rec center built, we can repair the roads, and spend more time together as a community. Thank you guys for coming over. Really appreciate it.
Andrew, thank you very much. I want to thank this audience for being such a fantastic audience tonight and showing up on this snowy evening. And I think we owe these candidates a round of applause for stepping forward, putting their name forward. I want to encourage everyone to get out to vote on Tuesday, March 3rd. You can vote right here on Route 4 where our town offices are next to the post office. And there's also early voting if you'd like. You can go to the town office and they can see to it that you can fill out your ballot early. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a safe drive home. Good night.
Thank you guys.